Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for sticking with me with this series that I'm doing with some live videos and just coming to do some live sit and chats with you. Uh, wait, no, it's a sip and sit and sip. I always forget the name of this series. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. Today, I am talking about help. I don't have any hobbies. And this topic came up because I realized that for a long time, I would talk to people and they'd say, like, hey, so what do you like to do for fun? And I used to have a ready answer, but lately I've been finding that I don't have an answer because I haven't been really indulging in my hobbies as often as I used to. In fact, my hobbies have changed so much that I've been talking about in this series that I've changed an incredible amount. And sometimes it's even shocking to me that I'm not doing most of the things that I loved doing in the past. And so today's video is to talk about hobbies, why they're important, and what you might be able to do to get yourself back in the habit of doing some hobbies that you really enjoyed or even exploring some new ones. So I stopped and I thought about, like, is it really important that I don't have any hobbies? And I looked up an article, and the article is from the New York Times. Let me share my screen with you. So the New York Times talks about how, oh, actually, let me pause for a moment. Hello, because I'm streaming on 3 different platforms. I'm on Facebook. Hey, to my Facebook peeps. I'm also on YouTube. Hey, YouTube. And then also I'm trying this new thing where I'm streaming live on Instagram from an app. So if it works, yay. If it doesn't, we'll try again another day. So thank you to all 3 different audiences. It's funny because all 3 audiences are totally different people. And so I'm grateful that you took time to watch this video and to join my channel. Okay, so like I was saying, so that I made I mentioned that because if you're on Instagram, I don't know if you'll be able to see what I'm about to share. I'm just going to share with you the article from the New York Times. So I hope you could see it. And if you can't, just bear with me because I'll narrate. Anyway, so here are some of the benefits for having a hobby, or they call them leisurely pursuits. Here's one of the issues that I think we have in our generation. We have a generation that wants to monetize everything. And so we always want to say, hey, this thing that you really enjoy, that you're really good at, how about you do it for money? So we've really run out of hobbies, things that we just do for fun or for the love of it. And I think it's kind of a shame because there's so many activities out there that bring us so much joy and relaxation. And we forced ourselves to think about, how do I make money? How do I monetize this thing that I really just wanted to do for fun? And so I'm going to go back to the article here and we're going to read why it's important to have hobbies. So it's important to have hobbies because people with hobbies tend to have better physical health. They tend to be doing something that is moving their body, or even if it's not the most physical thing, on average, people with hobbies tend to have better physical health. Um, People who spend time with hobbies actually get better sleep somehow, and they tend to have less stress. They tend to have more happiness or greater life satisfaction, and they tend to have more friends. Their social network tends to be a little bit wider, with quality interactions with people. And people have found that having a stronger support network and a social network is really helpful as you get older, as you age. So those are just some of the reasons why I think it's really important for us to have hobbies. And I think we've displaced the value of hobbies. I'll tell you my journey about hobbies. I am a pretty random person in that it took me a while to figure out what hobbies I actually enjoyed. So I took a lot of time experimenting and just trying different things. And so I had a stage where my dad gave me a bike before I went off to college. So I actually was a biker. I had a Schwinn road bike. And one of my hobbies used to be just like riding my bike around campus. And then I went to graduate school in New York and I was riding my bike around there too. And so I loved biking. But then when I moved back to Houston, Houston's not really a biker friendly city. And so that's a hobby that fell by the wayside. And I missed that hobby. It was a lot of fun. There was a season of my life I used to be a big crafter, and anything arts and crafts, I would make it. But then I became a minimalist, and I had all these crafts that I was like, I don't really enjoy this all too much. I don't think it's sustainable because there are all these craft projects and now I have to dispose of. So for sustainability reasons, and it didn't really bring me all that much joy. I like doing things with my hands, but just having like a bunch of potential trash accrue, I wasn't really attracted to that. So that hobby went away. What other hobbies have I had? Oh, one that I loved, y'all. If you watch this channel like back in the day, I used to do way more vlogging. I used to just turn on the camera and take you all with me on my day. And I would take you to the grocery store and I'd take you, especially when I was in New York. I think so many people hadn't seen upstate New York before. So I felt compelled to share my world with you all. And I will say, of all of my hobbies, that is the hobby that I miss the most. And I'm making a mental note to myself next year. I hope to have more vlog videos on this channel because I thoroughly enjoy vlogging. If you haven't seen it, I had a video where I went glamping. I went on a cabin getaway with my friend Janae. Once again, I mentioned on the other live, but we went camping and it was so much fun. And even more so than taking the trip, I loved sitting down and thinking about the shots that I wanted to take and editing them. So I would say one hobby that I really miss that I used to have is video blogging, just chronicling my day through video and storytelling in that way. I actually wanted to be a filmmaker back in the day, and so I think I'm going to challenge myself to do more video storytelling because I really enjoy it, and I think you all do too. The comments I get are really helpful, so I will do that. Other hobby that I have, ooh, I love to design, digital design. I've been doing that is a hobby that I actually turned into a hustle because my design that I did, that's how I actually ended up making my pivot planners and my pivot journals. So that is a hobby that didn't remain just for creating sake. And so, yes. So anyway, so that's on me. Those are some of the hobbies that I have. I wanted to find an article to help you all. This article is from themuse.com. And so they're giving some tips on how to regain some hobbies, how to invite them back in your life. A lot of people during COVID found that they were actually finding more hobbies or they were just kind of bored at home. So a lot of people were into sourdough bread, doing TikTok dances, whatever your hobby might be. You might reach a place where you're like, oh, I need to discover once again what some hobbies might be for me. So here is the old article. Let me share with you this Muse article here that I really thought was interesting with some real tangible steps on how to actually find a hobby that works for you. So they made it pretty easy here. Share my screen. So the first thing that they recommend is transform something you're already enjoying into a hobby. So if you are already volunteering somewhere, make that into a hobby. If you're already doing things like stretching in the park, Tai Chi in the park, fitness training in the park, like do that and do it for fun and make it a hobby. A hobby is just something that you kind of do on a habitual basis. And so if you are doing those things, like rest a little bit more and figure out if it's something you actually enjoy. So I saw randomly there was this coupon for trying out a free dancing class. Like, okay, so I don't know if I like that, but I'm going to transform something that I enjoy, which is dancing and moving my body, and see if I can make it into a hobby. So you don't have to pick something from scratch, pick something that you actually already do and see if you can go a deeper level of enthusiasm into it. That's really what hobbies are, something that you are highly enthusiastic about. Okay, second thing, if you recall, my very first video on this series, I was talking about going back to the kid version of yourself. So this tip says the second way to get hobbies is to reclaim your childhood interests. Think about who you were as a kid. What did you really enjoy? What kind of things really did you like doing? For me, man, I used to be in theater. My church had a drama team. And I was just talking to someone about it the other day. With the drama team, we used to put together all these skits and we used to just like make skits that had to do with the Lord introducing people to Jesus Christ. And so I really enjoyed that. And now I still kind of do it because on my TikTok that's for my business, The Pivot Strategist, a lot of times I'll be doing skit-based scenarios. And so I get to act and it's so much fun. Once again, I'm just doing it for the fun of it. I'm doing it so that I can explain things to my audience in a comical way. But yeah, my childhood self really loved acting. And so that might look like in a hobby, joining an improv group or making TikTok skit videos, whatever it is that you want to do. Think about kid version of you and then lean in deeper to that enthusiasm that the kid version of you had. And then the third one says, take an assessment. Take an assessment. And this is any of those personality tests, things like Myers-Briggs, any of those Strengths Finders types of tests. One of my favorites, if you recall, I mentioned that I am a coach. This is a really good time, I think, for me to do my little break that I like to do. So I mentioned to you all that I am a coach and I use an assessment with all of my clients. And the assessment is really to help them. Remember the last video that I had? The assessment is really to help people figure out what it is that is in their personality, what really makes them tick. And so if you recall, I mentioned in mine some of the different things that I have done. And so the assessment, there's a really cool version of it. And the assessment, I'm trying to see if I can find it here. Yeah, so the assessment was really good because there was one of them that looked at the different interests that you have. And it looks like, oh, are you interested in nature? Are you interested in business or finance or, all kinds of things? So the assessment actually will tell you your interests as well as the different traits that you have. So I tried to pull it up just now, but here is one version of it. Let me show it to you here. If you recall, this is the Harrison assessment, and the Harrison assessment had different things inside of it that you could look at, and it would tell you like themes of your life and potential strengths. And inside of there was also one that had it for interest. So I just wanted to mention that to you. Harrison assessment is a really great one. It's really thorough if we're looking at different things that you can do to look at your interests. So I always like that kind of thing because you're not having to figure out what am I good at and like racking your brain. You can just actually look at your own personal data and see what it says about you. Okay. All right. So now moving on to the next one, start trying things out and see what sticks. Like I mentioned in the other video that was more about not abusing your body, I tried CrossFit and I hated it. I'm not a CrossFit type of person, but I tried it just to see if I liked it. I tried all sorts of like different fitness classes to see what I liked. One really good one is I went to the YMCA and they had a series of different classes throughout the week. So I just tried all these different things to see what I enjoyed. And then I made, process of elimination. What do I like doing? What would I like to do on a habitual basis? What do I actually have an enthusiasm for? So I think that's a really great way for you to figure out what your hobbies are. So that is today's topic. I just really wanted to talk about that. Like, what are the hobbies that we have? I'm always on this hunt for a new hobby because y'all, I'd be bored. I hate to be bored. Oh my goodness. And now that I am trying to integrate my hobbies into my channel here on YouTube, but also some of the things I do with my business, I'm trying to integrate some of those things without sucking out the joy of it by saying, oh, this must produce me money. That is one of the great safety things about hobbies. They don't need to make you money. They're just things that you're enthusiastic about. They can have a calming effect. They can really just be a way to connect with people and socialize. So I think as long as you're keeping a hobby what the hobby is intended for, you'll get a good return out of it. It doesn't always have to make you money. It can have intrinsic value and so much worth that even if there's not a paycheck coming in, you can find that sometimes a hobby is really just keeping you going. You might be living for that bowling team that you meet on the weekends. Or another hobby I have that I forgot to mention is songwriting. I am a worship leader on the side, but I also really like writing songs and experimenting with music and sound. And so one of the things that I joined, I think in the spring, was the songwriting camp that they had. They're called Writing Rounds. And they were phenomenal. I met up with them and they had a writer's camp. It was 2 days of just writing songs with strangers and it was amazing. And so I just have to remember there are all these things, hobbies that I have. They don't always cost money. Many times they're free, at least the hobbies that I've gone towards. And so they just take a little bit of leaning into my enthusiasm to make it be something that sticks. Anyway, thank you so much for joining today. Really excited to have had you with me today. It was just good to think about what our hobbies are and what we can do in order to just keep that enthusiasm going. Hobbies are so important. It's important not to lose yourself in all of these things. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. We have one more video this week, and then we're going to take a break for Christmas Eve. And for Christmas, the next video is going to be about friendships. So I'm super excited about that. Friendships have really shifted a lot after the pandemic, but I find that I've had some really intentional friends who are meeting me more than halfway. And so I think the title was called Siri, Remind Me to Text My Friends Back. So look forward to that video tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Take care. Thanks for joining in.